Well, Arteta unhappy there. Let's get some more on that contentious penalty decision now and speak live to former Premier League referee Dermot Gallagher. Dermot, very good morning to you. Arteta said the decision to overturn the penalty on Eberechi Eze simply cannot happen. Do you agree?
Oh, firstly, good morning, Hannah. I think it's an interesting decision because the on-field decision for me is penalty. If you look in the Premier League, they try and stick with the on-field decision. In the past, in UEFA, they've tried to stick with the on-field decision, but the referee carries the weight. If you look at one of the angles, Hannah, it looks so Eze is clearly fouled. You look at another angle, it's inconclusive. Well, rather than look at inconclusive angles, look at conclusive ones. The referee thinks it's a penalty on field. The VAR, I think, looks at it too much. The question I'd ask, people said to me last night, is it enough to give a penalty? Well, once the referee's given a penalty, the question's got to be, is it enough to turn over? And I think that's the key thing in the process, Hannah, that is it enough to turn over? You look at one angle, it looks as though he catches him on top of the foot. The defender definitely doesn't get the ball. There's no doubt about that. So that's all in Eze's favour. Is it enough to turn over? I think not. I don't think it's the most obvious penalty in the world, but once it's given, it's given. And once it's given, it's got to be clear and obvious. That's the process. I think there isn't enough to overturn it.
Yeah, it does always come back to that clear and obvious error, doesn't it? David Ornstein said on Backpages tonight that VAR is re-refereeing games. Do we need to see changes as to how it's used?
I think it's not changes, Hannah. The process is there. You know, as I said at the start, you know, is it enough to give a penalty? The referee thought so. Is it enough to overturn? I think that's the key thing. You know, it's got to be has the referee made a clear and obvious error? Is it a howler? That's the word that was thrown about at the start. Well, you look at that. If there was no VAR, the referee gives a penalty. I think people might debate it, but they would accept it. It's because we've got VAR now. We've almost searching for a panacea that's not there. We've got two referees making a different judgment on the same incident, and I think that's the problem, Hannah. You know, when it's that doubtful, the vote's 1-1. If I was a referee, excuse me, if I was a referee, and I think, well, I think it's a penalty. You don't think it's a penalty as a VAR. It's 1-1. I'm going to back myself. You know, look at the screen and think, well, I've given it on field. Is there enough to overturn it? I'd think no.
Oh, we talk about this quite a lot, don't we? But in terms of that, it's almost inevitable, isn't it, when referees go to the monitor that we know the decision is going to be overturned? Do we need to sort of re-empower referees that, no, you can stick to the original decision? Because it seems like more often than not, and this is a perfect example of it, they change their minds based on what they've seen. But like you say, it was a bit inconclusive and he watched about 13 replays.
Yeah, I think the problem for me there, Hannah, is slightly different in so much as I get it that if you send me to the screen, I get it. I'm under pressure. I've still got all options on the table. I can stick with my decision. I can change my decision. It's like if I give a penalty, I can go back and say, yeah, it is a penalty. I can say, no, I think Hannah's right. It's not a penalty. Or I can give a yellow card for diving. You know, I've got all options. But in this case, I think it's not the fact that the referee's gone to the screen and changed his mind. I think it's the fact the referee's been sent to the screen. And that's the key for me, because he's sent to the screen because the VAR thinks it's a clear and obvious error. Now, that's the thing that's up for grabs for me, because I think most people look at that. Whether they think it's a penalty or not, most people say, well, I don't think there's enough to overturn it.
Another point of contention was the penalty awarded to Athletico for handball on Ben White. UEFA released a statement saying White touched the ball with his left arm, which was away from the body and therefore making his body bigger. Was that the right decision?
Inevitable, Hannah. You know, I don't think even Mikel Arteta is arguing about that. They're told at the start of the season, everybody's told, you know, if the arm's away from the body, it touches the hand. It's not a matter of does the hand touch the ball. Gone are the days where it's got to be a deliberate handball. It's going to be, is the arms in a natural position? Is it away from the body? There's no doubt it was away from the body. You would see 100 decisions like this in UEFA, and at least 99, if not all 100, will be given as penalties.
Are the handball rules different in the Premier League to the Champions League?
I think again, if the arm's out in the Premier League, it's going to be given. We saw Ryan Christie actually at the Emirates against Arsenal a few weeks ago. You know, no way in a million years did he mean to handle the ball, but his hand was up. It struck his hand. It's deemed an unnatural position. It's given. I think that's how the game's evolved regarding handball. It's no longer we don't talk about intentional anymore. We talk about unnatural positions of the arm.
And we also did see that a similar incident in the Paris Saint-Germain Bayern match, didn't we, where PSG were given a penalty after the ball ricocheted onto Alphonso Davies' arm. So, I mean, for all the criticisms and the inconsistencies we do sometimes see with VAR, on this front, we are seeing consistency, aren't we?
We are, but I have to say, Hannah, I didn't think that was penalty. I genuinely didn't think that was a penalty. Honestly, I think if the ball struck his thigh on the way up, and you know, it's